Our House is a 2018 horror and thriller movie. The movie starts with a gramophone playing inside a house and a bird's eye view of a beautiful area. A boy named Ethan is seen returning back from college to visit his parents and his younger siblings Becca and Matt. He is a passionate inventor who can effortlessly repair things around the house. He never fails to waste his time and instead works on his projects and experiments. That night, the family had dinner together, and as soon as it was done, Ethan informed his parents about his plan to conduct an on-campus experiment. Everybody was sad to know this, as they all wished to spend more time with Ethan. When he was about to leave, Ethan's father talked to him about the whole family being upset at him as he was not spending enough time with the family. In conversing, Ethan convinces and promises his father, saying he would prioritize the family in his next break, soon getting into his car and driving away. There, he meets his friend and his girlfriend Hannah, and they all sneak into the college premises, a few students still lurking inside the building. The reason behind the trio breaking in was that Ethan's invention, ELI, an acronym for electromagnetic induction, the machine that was designed to create wireless electrical power, was not approved and it lacked university authorization. But Ethan was not one to give up, and so he decided to run a few experiments that could help him justify and prove his machine's capabilities. As soon as the trio entered the lab, they started to get to work, not wasting a second. They soon activated ELI the machine while simultaneously recording the process. The machine was connected to the bulb in hopes that Ethan's invention could lighten up the bulb. The process recorded so that he could have some sort of proof to show to his professors the next day. Extremely engrossed in hoping to lighten the bulb, Ethan did not pay attention to the wrong readings that started to appear on the machine despite Hannah informing him. Staring and staring, he soon saw a black, smoky mass emerging from the bulb. The campus blacked out immediately. Scared to get caught, they fled. Morning came by, brighter than ever. But not for Ethan, as he was upset about the failure of his experiment the night before. Tensed and confused, Hannah decided to lighten up his mood. When the couple was having fun, Ethan received a call wherein he was informed of his parents' demise. Shocked, he soon rushes home to his siblings Matt and Becca, but before he could enter the house, he was seen crying in their remembrance in the parking lot, knowing as he was the eldest, he had to be strong for his siblings. The time skipped to 3 months later, an early morning for Ethan. He was almost the father figure to the siblings. To manage the family's expenses, he takes up a part-time job as a cashier at a local store and then picks the siblings up from school. Becca's teacher informs him of her isolating herself from other kids, whereas Matt is shown as a strong, bratty boy, adding up to Ethan's problems. The next day, things weren't going as planned for Ethan. He was sent home early from work by his boss because of his lack of attention to work. Frustrated, he returns home, only to realize he was subconsciously walking towards ELI that he had kept in a room. It had been 3 months since the last time he experimented on his machine, his invention. He opened it and started to work on it again, hoping to succeed. Soon he was so engrossed in hoping to get a positive result that he lost track of time. Rushing, he met Becca and Matt and apologized to them, confessing the happenings from hours ago. The duo still upset. The rest of the day passed by in a blur. Soon it was dinner time. Matt was asked to get drinks from the garage, the same room where Ethan had placed ELI. Matt stared at it on his way back into the dining room, joining Ethan and Becca. Over dinner, Matt and Ethan argue about Ethan's experiments. Becca is in the living room watching TV, yet overhearing their conversation. Matt entered his parents' room, longingly staring at his parents' photo frame, Becca taking a relaxing bath and trying to hold her breath in the water for a longer period of time, and Ethan working on his innovation. At that moment, their neighbor knocked on the garage door that was opened by Ethan, soon getting into a conversation. At the same moment, Becca felt someone's eyes on her. Screaming for her elder brother, she accused Matt of spying on her. Matt brushes it off, leaving the room. Later into the night, Ethan experiments on the machine not before tucking Becca to sleep. Soon, strange happenings are witnessed by all in the house, like feeling eyes on them or someone changing the calendar. Brushing it off at first, Ethan continues his daily routine, not bothering to put his mind behind it. One day, on their way back home, the siblings curiously ask about the progress of Ethan's invention. Happy to talk about it, he takes Becca down to the garage to work on the machine, but since it was late, he called it a night. Finding the coast clear, Matt, yet again, sneakily enters his parents' room, staring at the photo frame longingly while Ethan was in the living room staring at the ceiling. When he was in the room, he saw the words "We are here" on the wall. Startled, he quickly turns, only to find nothing on it. He then decides to go back to his room, and while he is passing by, he sees Becca talking to someone. He confronts, asking whether she thinks it's their mother, and she replies in an ambiguous manner. Deciding to end the conversation there, he leaves, ELI still functioning in the garage. The next morning was rushed as Ethan had overslept. While making breakfast hastily, Matt asks Ethan whether he had changed the calendar, and when he replied in the negative, Matt was convinced of his parents in the house trying to communicate to them whenever the machine is switched on. When he confesses his feelings to his elder brother in the car, Ethan yells at him, not believing anything Matt says. That night, the brothers started to argue yet again, waking up Becca from her sleep. She tells them that their parents were not too happy with them fighting and that Matt should cut Ethan some slack. Suddenly, the gramophone started to play their father's songs, Matt crying happy tears, feeling his parents' presence while Ethan froze. That night, Ethan saw the happenings with his own eyes. believing Matt's words. The next day, he talked to Hannah and shared about the happenings in the house. Matt and Becca switched on the machine in hopes to talk to their parents. When Ethan returned back after arguing with Hannah, he heard screams from within the house, his neighbor's dog barking at the house simultaneously. Hastily, he entered the house and saw Becca's doll float in the air, the duo laughing. Feeling creepy, he knew he had to act fast. He decides to call for help. That night, he visits his neighbor Tom, who is also a widow, and he decides to illegally tap into their street's power supply. At the same time, Matt feels bad since his parents would always communicate with Becca and not him. Said comes by, and while Becca was trying to hold her breath underwater, she felt someone pull her inside, not letting her get out of the water, the machine working. When Ethan tucks her in, Becca claims that she has given her doll to her new friend named Alice, adding that her friend was scared of a man named Henry, her doll comforting her and keeping her safe. That same night, Matt's friend sees a shadow of a person behind the curtains. Finding no one there, he sighs in relief, only to be faced by a flying shadow at the door of the bathroom. Scared, he runs away without informing Matt. The paranormal activities increased. Sunday night, Ethan was visited by Tom, the neighbor, who also exhibits odd behavior, warning Ethan of the unknown. He also adds that the machine's energy has expanded beyond the house. He believes to have seen his dead wife, but Ethan pays no heed. On Monday, Ethan decides to plan on talking with Becca's teacher over her progress report, only to learn that Alice is an imaginary friend of Becca. On returning back, the siblings were met by Hannah. This was the first time they had met after the argument. She came to meet the family as she had gone through the video's footage, wherein she spotted a woman's ghostly silhouette. At that moment, Ethan was almost convinced that the machine generated much more energy than one could think of. Not having a clear explanation, the couple decides to inquire about the house's previous occupants to Marie, wherein they come to know about a child named Alice who suddenly disappeared one day. She also added by accusing and sharing her view on the disappearance, saying it could be Henry, her foster dad, that was behind this, further stating that the monster could have eliminated the hidden girl. Thus she disappeared. Shocked by what they heard, the duo takes it in. Soon they realize that Becca had given her doll to Alice. They rush back into the house. Meanwhile, Becca was lured into the basement by the doll that she had offered to Alice. As soon as she entered the place, she was dragged into a large chest while Matt stayed in his room, playing his game with his headphones on. The lights started to flicker, followed by Becca's scream. When Ethan enters the house, he finds a frightened Matt alone, with no sight of Becca. Matt tells his brother of the shadow he had seen. Ethan explains to his sibling that the machine Eli is not a representation of their parents trying to talk to them. Instead, they're ghosts that are deadly and dangerous. After taking the information in, Hannah and Matt decide to find Becca, while Ethan would rush into the room to shut Eli, the machine, off, stopping the happenings. As soon as he entered the room, he realized that Eli was missing. Thinking it's Tom who had taken his machine away, he soon rushes to his place. He tries to get inside the house, but, frustrated in the end, decides to break in by using the baseball bat. He then enters the house, looking around, trying to find the side of Tom. When he entered the room, he was right. As mentioned before, Tom was a widow and he missed his dead wife. He wished to use Eli the machine to communicate with her, hoping to find some closure. Ethan soon rushed to stop Tom, followed by a fight between the two men. While the men were fighting, on one hand, Hannah and Matt, on the other hand, were still trying to find Becca in the house. Soon they reach the basement, and after breaking a barrier and going inside a tunnel-like thing, they find Becca in a hidden, underground room. Getting her out of there, they try to escape, but they see a shadow right in front of them that gets a hold of them. While fighting, Ethan explains to Tom that the spirit is not of his dead wives. Instead, it is a demon that was trying to play with the poor widow's feelings. Believing him, Tom leaves Ethan and lets him do his thing. Sighing in relief, he takes a step towards the machine but is stopped when he witnesses the ghost drag Tom away. Knowing he has to act immediately, he uses the same baseball bat he had found and starts to smash Eli, the machine, crying. This helps save his family, Hannah and Tom as well. They soon reunite. After the happenings, the family decides to shift to a new home, leaving the old one behind. Becca was given the doll she had intentionally left for Alice back by one of the movers. Deciding to leave the doll for Alice, she goes into the house and leaves it, smiling back at the house. Hannah gets into a car, leaving, followed by Ethan, Matt, and Becca, but not before meeting Marie and Tom. In the final scene of the movie, the family is seen enjoying their time unpacking the boxes, love in all of their eyes. Their new house was 10 minutes away from their school, making it convenient for Ethan. Ethan and Hannah soon step into the parents' shoes to be great examples for Ethan's siblings Becca and Matt, intending to give them the best life that they deserve. But as the saying goes, all that shines is not gold. While the family was eating, the doll that Becca had left in her old home was seen peeking out from inside a packing box, the scene ending there, leaving the audience in suspense.